Hey everyone, so welcome to this week's plan with me. In case you guys missed last week's video, this is what the spread looks like, and this week I'm going to be talking about what I thought about the series of unfortunate events. So let's get started. So if you do not want to hear any spoilers, you will not want to watch this video because I will be spoiling some things and just giving my overall thoughts about the show. So overall, I want to start by saying I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good and it was pretty close to what I envisioned the show to be, and overall I was pretty happy with it. So overall I really liked how they did the format of the show as well. They basically did like 2 episodes per book, which I thought was perfect. I think 1 episode per book would have been really rushed, but for 2 episodes, I think it was, I don't know, I think the pacing was actually pretty good. I was reading some other person's like blog post and they were just like totally shitting on the whole thing, but I don't know, maybe I'm just not as picky, but I thought it was actually really well done. Really liked the actors that they picked to play the children. At first I was a little like unsure about the girl because I don't know, I felt like she looked a little young, but overall I think I really liked her in the show. The only thing is like I wish she was like a tiny bit taller because she's actually, I was actually looking this up and I thought it was really funny. The actor who plays Klaus, and Klaus is supposed to be, you know, like 12 in the books at the beginning, he's actually 15 in real life, and then I think the girl who plays Violet is 13. So she's supposed to be older than him in the books, but of course like the actual actor is younger than him. I don't know, it was really interesting, but one thing I really liked that they did a lot was some of the costuming. It wasn't as over the top kind of steampunky as the original movie was, which don't get me wrong, like I loved the original movie and I loved the whole steampunk kind of vibe to it. I thought it really fit the original book series like perfectly, but what I love is that they took a little bit more liberty with the costumes in this one. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Edward Scissorhands, how they would kind of mix the pastel bright color schemes along with those gray muted color schemes. I loved that so much in Edward Scissorhands, juxtapose the happiness and the sadness and things like that. So I loved that in the beginning Violet's outfit was kind of bright, but it still worked. I don't know, I thought it was a really nice touch and something to like set it apart a bit from the original movie. I really liked the character, how they changed Mr. Poe. Obviously they were a lot more diverse in their casting, which I thought that was really great, but they made his family like super unlikable. I don't know, I just really didn't like Eleonora. She was like, oh gosh, and that's the way the character's supposed to be. You're not supposed to like her, but I felt like they were just a little bit extra on that. Like I was like, oh gosh, she's so rude. And I love that they chose Joan Cusack, I think that's her name, to play Justice Strauss. I loved that she was a little bit more quirky in this one. And actually another fun fact that I realized, the actress, Catherine, I think O'Hara is her name, she actually played the original Justice Strauss in the movie, and she ends up playing Georgina Orwell in the last 2 episodes, so I thought that was funny. I definitely really liked Joan Cusack's kind of like offbeat, I don't know, just kind of like version of Justice Strauss. I always loved her in the Addams Family movie. I think it was the second Addams Family movie, but it's the one where she plays Debbie Jelinski. I loved her in that, and I just love how she always kind of does those little kind of quirky characters. I love how the 2 white-faced ladies were like 2 old little ladies. I thought they were so cute. I loved them as well. I loved the hook-handed man. Overall, I thought they did really well with that too. Oh, and the character who looks neither like a man nor like a woman. He was a really funny character as well. I love the new interpretation of Uncle Monty. He definitely looks very different from the original Uncle Monty, I guess, character, especially in the movies. It'll definitely be really interesting to see all of these books kind of like visualized for the first time. Really loved that, especially for the first season they did do The Miserable Mill, because that's the first book that we get to see that's really can be judged on its own and it's not going to be compared directly to the movie. And then we get to The Wide Window, which, I don't know, there were some things I didn't really like about the actress that played Aunt Josephine, and I think it's just because for me Meryl Streep was like the ultimate Aunt Josephine, so it's not really so much the fault of the actress or anything. It's just like I just felt like she didn't really capture the essence of like Aunt Josephine as much. So one thing I was not sure if I was gonna like at first was how they actually had a actor portray Lemony Snicket. But I felt like it overall worked pretty well in the show, especially since, you know, at the beginning of like every chapter you would have Lemony Snicket's kind of, I guess his thoughts, or, you know, he would kind of like preface the chapter with, you know, a new word or a feeling or something, and I felt like that worked pretty well. There were a lot of like VFD references and stuff, which I always caught. There was like very fancy desserts and stuff like that. There were so many of them, so it's like if you paid attention, you'd kind of catch all these VFD references, and all the, like, if there was like a storefront in the background, it was a reference to something else, and those were definitely not lost upon me, and I loved those little kind of like Easter egg details. Count Olaf would reference like the sugar bowl and things like that, so I loved those little details. Something that I loved that they kind of added to this that was really interesting was to have the mother and the father characters. Of course, it kind of, at first it makes you think that they are the Baudelaire's parents, but of course if you know the story, you know that the Baudelaire parents are not alive, and you actually kind of realize that the parents in the show are actually the Quagmire parents. But I loved that they incorporated some different elements that, again, go along with the story, but things that weren't like explicitly stated or, you know, had a real plot in the books. It's nice to have a tiny bit of like something new. That way it's not boring for the, you know, those diehard fans that do know everything. It was a really interesting kind of like twist, and I loved the setup for the next season with introducing the triplets. But now I'm really excited to go forward and watch, you know, whenever they release the second season and everything, because I think they've already started filming it, especially since like with child actors, you kind of have to work fast on things like this because they do age so quickly. And then just like some super tiny things that I didn't like was sometimes it was very obvious when they were using like a baby doll or holding a baby doll rather than like the actual, you know, baby. But there were a couple scenes where I'm like, okay, that is obviously like not even CGI, like that's just a baby doll that they were holding. And then the CGI, some of it I thought was like really good. Like the leeches were so well done, but then there were like some tiny scenes where like the CGI was just, but it was just a little too obvious in some spots. Whenever they would have Sunny talking, there would be obviously like captions and stuff for her, for what she was saying, but the color that they used for the caption is like this neon green color, and it just, I didn't like that. It was such a tiny thing, but I didn't like that. It was just like super out of place to use that bright green color. I don't know. That was like one of the most nitpicky things that I had about it, but that was just one thing I didn't care for. Overall, as like a super fan of the series Unfortunate Events, I was really happy with it, and I can't wait to see the next season. So yeah, that's pretty much all of my thoughts on the series Unfortunate Events. Let me know if you guys have seen it, or if you've read the books, or if you're a super fan like me, or just, I don't know, overall general thoughts. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this long-winded rambly plan with me, but yeah, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below, and until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.